Now, get ready to talk hockey. Streaming from the Oilers Live Studio. Subscribe or follow today.
Hey, it's Michael here for another edition of Oilers Live Tuesday. A little bit of a special edition as we've got what I like to call the producers, former producers of TSN 1260. Had a little bit of fun with the DVD cover. That one came to me late last night as I was talking to Dash. Want to thank everybody for joining. Just going around, we've got Mr. Connor Halley, Hernan Salas, Matthew Iwanyk, and Geoff Walker. And then, of course, my associate host, I guess I'm calling him now. He's kind of taking that title on himself, but happy to have you here, Dash. Welcome, everybody.
Good to be here.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. It is exceptional to see you guys, right? I know it's been, a couple weeks now since we lost you on the air. And the folks over here at Heavy Hockey have been pretty excited about this episode today. I'm going to do something that you guys are probably not used to, and that's the host. As the host, I'm not going to do a lot of talking tonight. So you guys have probably, for the most part, entered in when needed, and somebody else was sitting in my chair. Whoa, what's going on there? Who's that?
Me. Sorry.
Oh, wow.
He's been on a broadcast for a little too long now.
Yeah.
That flies on the sideline, not here, Hernan. Come on.
Sorry. I don't even have the audio. I don't have any special effects to go with it right now.
I think Hernan just brought his with the Kung Fu Panda there.
So, guys, we're going to, see where you're at now and maybe talk a little bit about 1260 tonight. We're going to do a little segment, Tell Me I'm Wrong, that's in honor of Mr. Connor Halley. That's something that he did over at 1260. I'm going to let Dash take the reins as much as possible, and I'm going to sit back and enjoy the discussion. And let's talk some Oilers hockey. It's been... I don't know. It hasn't been the most exciting of Oilers off seasons, but it's definitely the maybe one of the more exciting regular seasons coming up that we've seen in a little while. Although, as Oilers fans, it could be argued we say that every year. And so, I'm looking forward to getting your opinion. So just I want to maybe hand the reins over to Dash, let him do some intros, etc. And he knows you guys the best. So Dash, if you don't mind, just kind of letting those of our folks know, who we're talking to and a little bit about them.
Well, I would hope our folks know who these folks are. We emulate them, and we use their content to guide what we do. We all miss TSN 1260. We all miss that radio. We all miss that content. I believe, guys like you really connected with the city. There was, a heartbeat with the city, and the station went with it. So I'm just, I'm really excited. I think this is going to be something that the city needs. So without further ado, I think we'd like to just kind of go over basically what you guys have been up to. Basically, maybe what you're has been keeping you busy for the last 3 or 4 weeks, if anything, and maybe hopefully nothing. And then, like I said, or like Michael said, pardon me, imitation is the most sincere form of flattery. So I'm just going to steal Connor's segment and throw it right back at you guys. So that said, I guess I'll introduce you. I don't think I need to, as I can see you, and I think the crowd can too. Geoff Walker, the experience, the Texas Ranger, the storyteller. Super happy to have you. I know you're on, the station part-time, as well as spending some of your time over there on the Wolf. A lot of history in radio, and you ended up how it ended. we were happy to just get you going. How you been doing, Geoff? What you been up to?
You know what? I've been doing pretty good, guys. Just trying to, I don't know, survive every day. It's kind of boring being unemployed and all that stuff. But you know what? I'm keeping kind of busy, and that's all you can really ask for, I think. And sometimes I talk to the dog too much. Here, that's kind of thing. And still hitting the teen burgers in the morning. Sorry about that, Hernan. And you know what? Just live it, right? Just trying to put some stuff together for the future. So thanks for having me here, guys.
Absolute pleasure. To our bottom left, Connor Halley, longtime TSN producer, a lot with Jason Strudwick, recently and for also a long time with Jason Greger and the Jason Strudwick Show. You've been all over the place, man. You've hosted your own shows. You've hosted pregame shows. You're hosting postgame shows. You've been, doing the other Connor podcast. You've done Oilers Nation After Dark.
Mm-hmm.
You're everywhere. We love you. What you been up to?
Yeah, not a whole lot. Like Geoff said, being unemployed is very boring. I mean, I'm doing the Elks watch parties. If I can give them a little plug here, Central Social Hall, Hernan, the watch party on Thursday. The Elks going to pick up their first win of the season. So I've been keeping busy that way. Did a little trip to Vegas with the wife, which was a lot of fun. But other than that, just kind of enjoying it. Like with the radio, I feel like all of us can probably kind of have the same thoughts on this one. I don't think I've had 2 weeks off since I was 18. This is the longest I have gone without working on a consecutive basis. So it was fun for a while. It's getting a little bit boring. I think I've mastered the iced coffee at home, and hopefully we'll get that going sooner or later here. But it's been difficult. It's been all sorts of things. But yeah, happy to hop on with you guys tonight. Good to see some familiar faces, Maddie, Hernan, Geoff, and good to be back on here on the show.
Fantastic. We really, I don't know. This is just, I'm so excited. I'm going to stumble on my words all night. And maybe I should just shut up and let you guys talk. But really excited for what might be coming and what's down the road. You mentioned the Elks, and, that's a nice segue to jump over to our man, Hernan. I remember what I was going to say. Your guys' career in radio is a grind. And I think everybody knows that, especially guys like Hernan and Geoff recently with recency bias. I know Matt and Connor both climbed up through the ranks this way as well. But, you're up at 6 a.m. to help the guys fill in there sometimes. And then you're still doing a post-game show, after an Oilers game at midnight and doing it all again the next day. So I get it. And the fact that you said you haven't had 2 weeks off and how long, I think you guys have earned it. So I'll jump back to that segue and pivot on that over to Hernan, the man. We're all feeling for how the team's doing this year. We don't blame you. I want you to know that. I think Dusty and the boys might have been.
Wait
Maddie,
a second here.
Maddie might have been.
I think this
I'm
is
blaming Hernan.
Haven't won a home game since Hernan's been there.
So we know what you've been up to a little bit, but how's it been going?
Good, man. Good. Just a fun fact for I guess you, Mike, and some of the listeners. Maddie hired me at TSN 1260 way back in 2014, and the other guy, Connor, he trained me. So we go way back. So those guys were kind of made me the producer I became at TSN 1260. Thanks to those two guys, Maddie for taking a chance on me, an older guy, I guess, taking a board up spot when I did get the job, and Connor training me and just becoming great friends with these guys and getting to meet Geoff the last couple of years too. We really hit it off. So, but like you said, I left last April. I've been with the Elks ever since, and it's been pretty cool. I know we're going through some tough times now on the field and with the record and all that, but there's something about working in pro sports and especially the CFL. I think the CFL is so unique, just in every aspect of it. And I absolutely love it. We're getting ready to travel tomorrow to Winnipeg, so it's a travel day. It's always fun going on the road and seeing the stadiums and getting to know the cities around Canada. So looking forward to it. And I haven't talked much to Oilers in a while, so I'm looking forward to that. It's been a while. I'll be honest, I haven't watched a single clip or game of hockey since the Oilers were eliminated. It's just too busy with work and all that. So I just completely turned off hockey once the Oilers were eliminated. But looking forward to September and training camp and all that. So happy to be
What
here.
was it like to be a fan again for the last year?
Well, to be honest, I was I was always a fan. I guess
I know, but
think-
when you're in radio, there's
Yeah.
that bit of impartiality or what you need to,
You just
live
have
it
to
and
be
breathe it,
honest
and it's not as fun anymore.
You have to be a professional, and when you do it for so long, like post games, and I did a lot of post games when the Oilers weren't going to the playoffs, so it was kind of you're always talking the same thing. So it was refreshing when the team got good and all that. So yeah, I mean it was nice to just go home and watch the game, and then once the game's done, you can just kind of sit back and listen to the post game show with the boys and hear what they had to deal with when the Oilers lost 2 straight or the Oilers were on a heater. So it was always great, and now you get so much content. Like Connor is doing his own post game with the Nation, and the 1260 boys had their thing, and so there's so much content that you could just dive into different ones and get a feel for it. But I'll be honest, I did miss it. Radio it's such a cool job when you get to talk about sports and teams that you grew up cheering for. So yeah, I definitely missed it, but it was nice, like you said, to be a fan again.
Yeah, I bet. I missed you on Locked On as well. That was one of my regulars. And
you know what's funny? So I saw that it's open again, and I was like, I'm gonna talk to Evan Dom and see if I can do it. Of course, I'm kidding, duty. But I was like, there's an opening there. I wouldn't mind it.
But then you found out Matthew Iwanyk already took the job.
Yeah.
Future host of Locked On Oilers. I am kidding. Matty, maybe without introduction as well, but you've had your hands in a little bit of everything. Most commonly confused with Tyler Yaremchuk for whatever reason. But you had that honorable job towards the end, keeping those 2 old guys yelling at clouds in line. How's it been going?
It's actually been pretty good. I will say this: if there was a time for us to get fired, we got the best one, because it went into the summer. And we just get the summer off right now. Like, I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
I've learned I will enjoy retirement when retirement comes, because I have nothing. When you have nothing to do, it's wonderful. Like, it's been great for that, just because Riverhawks games, Edmonton summers are always fantastic. Like, once the smoke goes away, the last couple of days has been better finally. But being able to take part in the festivals and not having any worries, just. It's very easy to lose track of the days just when you don't have to wake up the next day with I got to get to work or anything. Getting to go to Elks games finally and be a fan once again is a lot of fun. So from that perspective, it hasn't been doing much, but in just enjoying, like, as Connor mentioned earlier, like the 2 weeks off. I haven't had a summer off since high school. I don't know how, like, people don't get summers off unless you're in school. So for me, I'm taking full advantage of that. And it's like, come September, back to the grind, back to get going. But for now, it's just Edmonton. We go through such a rough time through the winter. It's hard often, but we do it because the summers are so wonderful. And I'm going to take full advantage of our summers, hopefully golf a little bit more. But yeah, just kind of cutting away and enjoying the Edmonton sports, Riverhawks and Elks, and K-Day's Taste of Edmonton's about to start. So that's what I've been doing.
How many full Yankees games start to finish have you watched?
Actually, I haven't watched any real baseball MLB in a while. No, I just the Yankees keep losing, which is just I'm not happy with them in that. So I just need I need to wait for them to just. I just need them to trade for Shohei Ohtani, and then they got me watching every game the rest of the year.
I was at Yankee Stadium, Matt, 2 weeks ago.
Oh yeah,
and. Man, I tell you, it might have been the worst Yankees lineup I've ever seen. And it was just an awful game. Judge was out.
Aaron Boone needs to be fired.
And I bought tickets in his office, right? Like, I was where he hits like 40% of his home runs. I was right there. It ended up being a 2-1 game. Was not exciting. Like maybe the worst possible game. And Yankees fans are ruthless, right? They just anyway, a lot of fun. I went to a Phillies game though, like a week later, and I saw a grand slam. I saw like 6 homers. There was
some excitement,
7 or 8 runs in the 7 or 8 runs in the first 3 innings. That was great. I mean, wasn't a pitching duel by any stretch, but it was a lot of fun. Yankee Stadium though is a must for anybody out there who likes ball. It's a lot of fun, and it's so I enjoyed Phillies what is it, National
Citizens Bank.
Citizens Bank. Yeah, thank you. I enjoyed Citizens Bank. The experience at the ballpark better than Yankee Stadium, but the Yankees fans are worth going to see. I mean, New Yorkers are they're a special breed. It was I mean, and Phillies fans are a special breed too, but New Yorkers are New Yorkers. I mean, with that accent and yelling at the guys in the field, and oh man, it was a ton of fun just watching the fans. Yeah. Somebody was sitting in my seats. They looked a little bit bigger than I did, and I'm 6'5", so I just let them sit there and moved a couple over. No, I didn't miss any home run balls, but that's about it. So, guys, thanks for the intro. It's good to catch up with where you're all at. Happy to hear you're having, a nice summer off. That's good. I'd kind of wish I'd have a summer off too. So I'm a little bit jealous, but I have taken some time to go, of course, as I just said, see some ballparks, etc. We're going to do a segment, as I mentioned before, this is inspired by Mr. Connor Halley. I understand and I apologize, but being here in Halifax, there's not a lot of TSN 1260 that we got. So I didn't get a chance to tune in that often, although I did. It was the only time in my life that I was able to be a 6 o'clocker. When I when I moved out here, I was like, "Oh shit, I think I can do this. I can be a 6 o'clocker." So I told that my first day on the ground in Halifax, I was up for 9 a.m. and I'm like, I'm texting in. I'm a 6 o'clocker finally. Otherwise, I didn't even know 6 a.m. existed. But we're gonna do this segment. Tell me I'm wrong, and we've got a list of obviously a good list. Let's have some discussion, and we'll go from there. Dash, did you want to? I know. Normally I do most of the talking, but I know Dash is pretty excited about this. So Dash, you've got the list. Why don't you lead us in a little segment of "Tell Me I'm Wrong," and we'll have a little bit of fun and open up some Oilers discussion and possibly league discussion.
Well, Michael, you never know. Some people might want to hear you answer questions instead of ask them every once in a while, or just maybe not hear your voice every once in a while. You never know, depending on the fan, of course. But we put this invite together a few weeks ago, so I've racked my brain and tried to come up with some of the topics that we can throw down the gauntlet here and see where you guys come out on it. Connor, how did this segment get invented? Who come up with "Tell Me I'm Wrong"?
You know what? TSN Vancouver. We stole it.
Oh, yeah?
We straight up stole it. The segment was called "Tell Me I'm Wrong," and Strutty was like, you know what? Maybe we should try something new here just to get people fired up. And it was right before COVID hit, and we were, sitting in I don't even know what we called it, Maddie, the talent tank. I guess that some people called it that. It was just kind of a central office with the worst chairs ever. You sunk down into them. I think we ordered a pizza and we were like, we got to do some fun new things. That's where we came up with story time. And then Strutty said, yeah, there's this segment in Vancouver. They call it "Tell Me I'm Wrong." And I want to say it was Sakaris and Price. I think that's who it was. And we just straight up took it. And they found out and laughed at us for stealing it. So that's where it came from. Strutty took it. We thought about changing the name, but we thought, hey, that's a good name. That could work. So that's how we came up with the segment. Just plagiarism.
I like it too. I like it.
No better way.
Your Chuck had a version of that at some point in time too, didn't he? Buy it or sell it, right? Yeah, Dusty's on radio, keep it or clip it.
Yeah, radio in general is all just stuff stolen from everyone else, and it's just you rename it and you do it again. FM or AM, sports, music, all of it. Everything has been done before. It's just a new name. Don't
admit to too much, guys. I'm watching the Twitter feed here, and I see Dusty's watching right now. So shout out to Dusty on the Twitter feed.
Just gave him the keep it or clip it shout out there. So.
That's right. Yeah.
So let's get this going. Let's start with maybe a little bit of batting practice and a few lob balls and just kind of get things warmed up. I already missed Jeff's voice, so I'm going to go there first, I think, and maybe we'll just go around the circle clockwise for this one. Connor McDavid will exceed 150 points again this season. Tell me I'm wrong. Jeff?
Oh, there's no way I can tell you you're wrong there. Every time we thought Connor has hit his ceiling, somehow he just goes above and beyond it, right? 150 points for anybody else, probably not going to happen. But for Connor McDavid, he's going to get there. He's going to get 160. I can see him getting up to 175. You just can't stop that guy. And he's gotten better every single season. So, yeah, I can't tell you you're wrong. I think you're right on that one.
Tough to bet against him. Maddie?
100%.
Yeah, it's where I learned you don't bet against Connor McDavid was going into the season with the All-Canadian COVID year. The conversation was, can he get 100 points in 56 games? And I remember, for whatever reason, I was hosting a show one of those days. Can't remember if I was a Hernan or Yaremchuk. And like I looked at the numbers. I'm like, to do that, you would have to have a point-per-game pace that is something we had not seen since the 04-05 lockout. So I'm like, there's no chance it's going to happen. Like, it's just, this is like Connor McDavid is great, but we're going to see something we just haven't seen since 04-05. And I ended up being one of the very few people that was inside Rogers the night he got 100 points on the 53rd game or whatever it was.
Right.
And it's that moment I realized, or not that exact moment, but that season, that's when I realized when it comes to Connor McDavid, until he's done playing hockey, basically, there's no point in betting against him, because when this guy sets his mind to something, he's that special, he can go get it done. There aren't many players in sports like that. Connor McDavid is one of those. So I've just am now on the point of I will never bet against Connor McDavid unless he's retired. Like, it's that level right now with him. So no, can he do 150 next year? Absolutely. I almost want to go as like, how many more seasons could he do 150? Because if he wants it, he's going to go get it.
Love it. Hernan? Well said.
Yeah, it's almost like if he doesn't hit 150, it's like, come on, what are you doing, Connor? Like, just seeing his maturity and like when he won all those awards this year and saying like, you know, we're gonna get this cup, like we're close, and just seeing that drive and motivation. And this guy's still young, man. He's 26, 27 years old. Like, he's only gonna get better. So I mean, with the power play they have with Leon Draisaitl, you know, shotgun there, and you still have Kane and Hyman, and you add Connor Brown. Like, sky's the limit. Like Maddie said, like, to bet against him is just being a fool. So I think 150, I think he can do that for multiple years, just not 2, right? So I'm excited, man. We're very lucky in Edmonton to be able to watch this guy every night. So I'm excited to see what the next couple of years bring for the Edmonton Oilers.
Without a shadow of a doubt. Connor, can I guess that you're not going to go against the grain here and bet against Connor McDavid, your namesake?
Do it, Connor.
Yeah,
Do it.
The other Connor, I am going to go against it. I think he's still going to finish at like 140, and it's going to be a hell of a season, and he's going to lead the league in points and win the MVP and be the best player in hockey. But everything went so damn well for him this year. I mean, we're betting on the players around him to put up the production that they did as well, right? So he can pick up those helpers. Like, is Nuge going to score 37 goals again? I don't think so. I don't think he'll be that good. I think his numbers are going to be fine. He's going to lead the league in points if he's playing out there the majority of the games. He's just the best player in hockey, but I got to break this one up. It's too much optimism here. I don't want to get to the point where if he doesn't get 150, we're like, oh, what happened? He declined. He's on the decline. He's 28 years old. What's happening? So I think he'll still finish in the 140 range, still lead the league in points, but 150, my God, 153. That was a hell of a year.
And that's why TSN 1260 isn't on the air anymore.
Hey.
Claims like that.
But and Connor's probably right, but like, this guy's gonna hit 100 for like multiple years. Like Connor said, if he hits 120, it's unreal. Like, 150 is out of this world crazy. And then, like, even if this guy for the next 4 or 5 years hits 100 like every year, that's just amazing. Especially in 2023, we put
Let this soak in though. Bouchard on the power play for a full season.
Yeah, no, fair enough.
Like that alone's got to be worth a 10 to 20 point bump, I think.
We're going to 170.
My counterpoint.
Jeff said 175, so You heard it here first.
Yeah, and I stand by it. I'm with Maddie. You just can't bet against this guy, right? Every time that you set a target for this man, he not only meets the target, but he goes well past it. And for him right now, the 150-point range is his target. So, yeah, you know what? He's going to go past that. I have no doubt of it.
Here's
And
my
I love
question for you
Connor.
guys.
Like, I love Connor
Guys,
Halley to death, but I got to disagree with you, Connor.
Let me ask you guys this quickly then. How many goals is he going to score? Is he going to reach 100 assists? Is he going to score 75 goals?
Just wait for the next question, Mr. Halley.
Yeah,
Just
okay,
don't
sorry.
get ahead of yourself, all
Maybe
right?
let's get into that.
Hey, jeepers. Who's the host here? Not you. Not anymore. Okay?
No, never was. I'll sit back.
That said, I kind of tend to agree with you, and I really hate to say it, but like, man, 150 is crazy. You know what? Like 164 is crazy, right? Like that's 2 points per game. Jeff, he gets 175. I wouldn't even be the least bit surprised. Not even the least bit surprised.
I'm donating
Michael, what do
$50
you think?
He's
to
the
a
best
charity
in the
of Jeff's
world. Why
choice.
not, right?
Yeah.
Why not?
Jeff, $50 to a charity of your choice if he makes 175.
You know we're unemployed, right, buddy?
Yeah,
Right,
it's a year
50
away.
bucks?
It's a year away.
All right, you know what,
Figure
man?
it out.
I'm in on that. I will do that, Connor.
I can hop
I'll
in
take
on
that
that
back.
too.
I have a charity suggestion, by the way. Sace,
There you go.
If you make the bet on here, $50 to Sace would be great. That's the Sexual Assault Center of Edmonton.
Lock it in.
Charity of choice here.
Yep, done. I'm in.
Clip this clip.
Clip.
$50 if he gets to 175 points to Sace.
Oh, I love the
right.
clips. All right,
Go
Michael.
Connor McDavid.
97 will exceed 150.
Oh yeah, no, I think for sure he will. Last year I didn't bet on him to beat 50 goals. Yeah, I mean Matthew said it right. It's hard to bet against this guy. I'm not going to do it again. I think Bouchard on the power play adds something. Maybe it's not a 20-point bump, but I think it's a 5 to 10-point bump at minimum. Bouchard's gonna take the points away from Nuge, though. We'll get to that Nuge thing. I can't see him not doing 150 this year. Look at Calgary. I mean, we play Calgary 4 times this year. Right? Like, that's got to be worth something right there. I mean, that's an extra 3-point bump for the extra game, right? So.
Well, I'd argue that there's a really good chance that power play doesn't repeat as the best power play in the history of hockey as well. So, there's always that chance that just breaks even and there is no Bouchard bump. That said, there's another component to that 150, and it's how many goals that Connor can score. He just came off the Rocket Richard trophy. In fact, he came really away from the awards with every trophy except for the one he really wanted. We'll maybe go in reverse order this time and go right back to Michael. Connor McDavid will exceed 60 goals again this season.
Damn it. I've just finished saying
wrong.
to get over 150. 60 is going to be tough, but I don't think you're lying. I think he'll maybe be right around 60. I won't bet against him again this year, but if he wouldn't surprise me if he's right around 60. Now, if you're right on the power play, he's not getting 150 or 60 goals. The power play has got to be clicking in order for him to do both. But I think he's of course he's capable. He'll get 60 again this year.
We all know him and Dry are just power play merchants, right, Connor?
That's right.
That's what they are. That's all they do.
Halley, tell me I'm wrong.
Oh, my turn. Okay, just want to say one more thing.
You get to answer your own question now.
If McDavid does reach 150 points, he'll be at 1,000 in his career, which is absolutely insane. It feels like just yesterday he was that fresh-faced kid coming into the NHL from juniors. That'd be wild. I gotta say no. I don't think he gets 60. Again, he's gonna get 50, maybe 55, but I'll have him just short of 60. Jeff, I'm not making you another bet though.
Don't want to lose another $50, eh?
No, I can only lose one $50 bet.
All right, man. All right.
I tend to agree with you again, Con Man. What do you think, Hernan?
Yeah, I'm with Connor on this one. 60 is so hard, especially in this day and age. That's why you don't see many guys do it, like Matthews and Connor McDavid. Can he do it? Of course. I mean, he's far the best player on the planet, a player we've never seen. But I think Connor brought up a great point where, like, last year, a lot of things went right. A lot of players had career years, and Is that going to repeat itself? I mean, they can all have good years, but they have the years that they had last year, like Nuge hitting 100. Probably unlikely, but I still think they're going to score a lot. So I have them in that range that Connor kind of had, like 45 to 55 around there. I think more realistically, probably closer to 50 than 55. But I mean, even if he does that, it's incredible. So I'll tell you you're wrong. Yes.
All right. Maddie?
I stand by what I said before, and I'm not betting against Connor McDavid because this guy is he's a special talent that you can't use normal logic when you're talking about Connor McDavid. You can't use just what we've seen. Like, the question would be to me, like, have we seen Connor McDavid hit his peak yet in his career? Like, that's the thing. That's where I go to. And we'll never know until his career is over to go when he hit his peak. But, like, these, I think, are kind of the best years. And it's not going to be just 1 year where he's at his utter best. It's going to be multiple years. Well, so last year's 150 and 60.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think, unless the Oilers go through some sort of massive change and really focus on defense and try to limit what goes on in their own zone and make this massive change to how they play, I still think this team is going to be this team. I was just looking, they had 325 goals last year, was the best in hockey. So naturally, that is very high. That's going to have a drop down. But to everyone's point, okay, so Nuge isn't going to, like, there's a guy I'm not going to bet to have the same year as his career year last year. You look at what the bottom six did last year and how many goals they got. It's going to be hard to replicate that. But in the end, this team's still going to need goals. So where are those goals going to come from? And I'm going to look at Leon Draisaitl. I'm going to look at Connor McDavid and go, those are going to be the two big guys that are going to go get those goals. So, yeah, it's going to be hard to do. But if there's a player that could go do it back-to-back years, it's going to be Connor McDavid. So he made me look foolish once. I would rather be wrong betting on the guy, betting on McDavid, than being wrong betting against him. So once again, I'm with him getting that 60 or more.
Well, you're not the only person that Connor McDavid has made foolish, and you could reference, Riley, a collection of Rangers on one given play,
Doughty,
Doughty, as well as
everyone.
Michael, who said he wouldn't hit 50 this year in our preview show. But I digress. The experience, what do you got? 75 goals, 100 assists?
Well, I hate to be the guy that agrees with Matt all the time here, but I got to agree with Matt once again. He's Connor McDavid. We haven't seen the best out of him yet, and I truly believe that. And I think the really crazy part about Connor McDavid is that you don't know, and you're not going to know till, like Matt said, till his career's done when he hit his peak. But I don't think he's there yet. 75 goals, that's going to be tough for sure. I don't think he's going to make it there. But 60 goals, yeah, why not? Why not? Why can't he make it there? He's got the team around him. The power play, they might not be the greatest power play of all time again this year, but it's not going to be that big of a drop-off. And the Edmonton Oilers score a lot of goals on the power play. And Connor, he looks like a man that wants to shoot the puck more. He did last year. That's why he won the Rocket Richard Trophy. Why is he not going to carry that into the next season and shoot the puck even more this season? So 60 goals from Connor McDavid, sure. You know what? I'm going to say that he can get that done, and I bet he does this year. And like I said, agreeing with Matt here, why would I bet against him? I'm not going to do that. I did that a couple times a few years ago. You know what? He proved me wrong. I'm not going to do that again. So 60 goals for Connor McDavid, sure, he can do that.
Yep.
And I'll just jump in and say this about Connor too. Like, this is a guy that has proven that when he sets his mind out to do something, he's going to go do it. And I just I'll almost guarantee that in his mind, he wants 70 one day. He wants a season where he gets 70. So when is that season going to be where he goes all out to get 70 goals?
What about 50 and 50?
Right.
I mean,
right.
There's, you got
Good
Leafs
point.
fans arguing that Matthews did it, right? Over the course of
50
maybe
games and stuff,
maybe Connor hears everything, right? Like he just seems to feed off of this stuff.
He's got that MJ in it.
Yeah.
I mean, he was
sure.
what, at 15 and 15 this year.
Especially when it's Matthews chirping him in the gym back in Toronto in the offseason, right? Sorry, Connor.
Oh, back in the day with Sportsnet with Dino, I remember once saying, like, I just love to see Connor McDavid develop that Mamba mentality like Kobe, where he's like I'm going to score here. You're not going to stop me. And I think he started to do that like this last couple of seasons. I think the shots improved. I mean, he's taking shots from ridiculous angles. And, you know, when he's coming in on the rush, what do? I mean, you play him one way, he's going to walk around you. You play him another way, he's going to, you know, release that quick wrist shot. Like he's really added to his game. So I'm not saying he can't get there. And I think Matt brings up a good point. Like he's going to get to a point where he wants 70. He's fully capable. I just think a lot of things would have to go right for it to happen.
And you saw, Connor, you bring up a good point. Like, he's found different ways to score, right? Like, this past season, it was those one-on-one rushes where he was just shooting it between the guy's legs. Or, do you know what I mean? Like, he did that at least 10 times last season. Like, he's finding different ways to score. And this season, who knows what that's going to look like. But, you know, he's taking more shots. He's being creative in the way he's getting the puck to the net. So, I mean, again, sky's the limit for this guy. It's just fascinating to like the anticipation of what we're going to see this year. It's always fun.
Yeah, for sure. You know, I think when it comes to what Iwanyk said, you know, and he wants to put his mind to, you know, it's almost like this last season. He's like, all right, I'll get to 60 and then I'll get dry to 50. Right? Like you just stop shooting.
And then get Nuge to 100. And we'll get everyone their nice marks.
Yeah.
Career high for Hyman.
Exactly. And to Hernan's point, like he's scoring in different ways. What was it, his 50th goal before he scored with a one-timer? Like that's unbelievable. That's crazy to me. Like
50 was the deke from Boston, I believe.
Yeah,
Boston.
Sorry, you know, in the 50s it was probably before he scored with a one-timer.
Against Boston, Connor.
Against Boston, yeah, I think tied up the game. It was
That's a great trivia question. Who passed Connor?
Great trivia question. So Iwanyk also mentioned Nuge. Michael's mentioned Nuge. The power play flows through Nuge, in my opinion. I think that everything is distributed off of Nuge's stick, and you know how he positions himself in the puck often is how the success of the power play goes. He should have several years left as an Oiler in the top 6, playing with 29 and 97. Ryan Nugent-Hopkins will have another 100-point season at some point in time in his career. Geoff Walker, tell me I'm wrong.
Oh, that one's a tough one because I love Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, but 100 points for him, you know, like I was shocked that he got that this year. Like he is, I'm with you. He's the guy that stirs the drink on the power play. Most times he's the guy that starts it. He gets it to Leon, he gets it to Connor. They do their magic and, you know, the puts in the net. So for him to get another 100-point season, like, oh, man, you know, I'd love to say yes there, but I just don't think I can. I think it was just a magical season for him. Is it possible playing with those two players on the power play that he makes it there again? Yeah, I think it is. Is it going to happen, though? I just don't think I can say it will. Like, I'm going to say he's going to be a point per game player, right? Like, I think he's going to get 80, maybe 85 points, but to get to that 100 mark again, that's tough to do once in the NHL, twice. I just don't think Nuge has got it. And I love Nuge. Don't get me wrong. I love the guy, but that's a pretty tall task.
Yeah, I agree. Matty, you already said you'd see a decline coming. Tell me I'm wrong.
Yeah, he's a 30-year-old. He's not once in a generational player like Connor McDavid. So you have to look at just the history of hockey and history of other players. And a 30-year-old hitting a career high, it's hard to bet that this guy is going to be able to then go do it. You know, Connor mentioning with Connor, at least, that, you know, everything went right for the Oilers this year. Well, that's what I'll use for Ryan Nugent-Hopkins. He was one of those guys that everything went right, and he was a big benefactor of that. And there's a guy that, you know, I've always felt was about a 70 to an 80-point player. He had that special year this year that got him to 100. If he's going to get 100 again, it would have to be in the next couple of years, because I don't see this guy being a 34, 35-year-old going out getting 100. But even then, I just, you know, you're going to have an Evander Kane that is hopefully going to be back and fully healthy for this team. Who knows what Connor Brown's going to do with the Edmonton Oilers. Zach Hyman's still here. If I'm still seeing, you know, going with Connor having his 150, 60 goals, you know, he might even improve on that. Somebody has to lose points in all this. Somebody has to lose goals in all this. Not everyone just could keep going up. So when I look at Ryan Nugent-Hopkins and his body, this is a guy who's a good two-way player. You know, you could trust him in your own zone, and he's going to score some offensive points. So to get 100, I don't think we'll see that. I would think that maybe we'd see him getting maybe into the 90s again at some point in his career. Maybe he could do that part. But I've always looked at him as being a 70, 80 point guy. So I'll stick with there's a guy that probably won't get to the 100 again in his career. But I hope I'm wrong, because Nuge is just one of those players you just love. And honestly, like I hopefully he's the guy that's the first ever Oiler who retires as an Oiler, start to finish his entire career.
Yeah, for sure. Geoff said 80 to 85 for next season. Matty, quick over under on 80 for Nuge this year.
I'll go over. I'll go over.
Right.
I'll go with the in that range. I think he's still. I don't think you'll see that big of a drop off to go from 100 to let's say 70 points or something, losing 30%. I don't think we see that from Nugent Hopkins.
All right. 100-point season again in his career, Hernan. Tell me I'm wrong.
Yeah, I got to roll with the boys. His highest point total until last season was 69. So like last year was just one of those seasons that everything went right. He played every game, every situation.
Good point.
And that's the thing going forward with Nuge. He is older and he's Mr. Reliable, right? Like when other lines are not going, who do they look at? Hey, let's put Nuge at center on the third line, see if we can get that line going. And he's kind of that movable piece that the coach likes to move around just to see if they can get him going or some other guys going. So, but he's going to get his power plays. He's going to get PK, plays a ton. But I think 100, it's a tall order for Nugent Hopkins. I still think he'll minimum hit 60 here in the next couple of seasons, and then you'll start to see that kind of, it's that typical decline for older players. But again, if Nuge scores 50 and 60 and this team's in the finals winning the cup, like I don't think many people are going to mind that, because he is a fan favorite. He does a lot of things well, and he's Mr. Utility on this team. So I think 100 it's not realistic going forward for him, but I still think he has 3-4 amazing seasons ahead of him, and that's anywhere from 60 to 80 points for me.
Yeah, good point that he plays all situations as well, I think. Connor?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be a similar answer with all the guys here. 35-point jump up from his previous career high, which is absolutely ridiculous for a guy who was in his 29, 30-year-old season, right? So I think when if he was a guy who hovered around 80 points at multiple points in his career, I'd say, yeah, he can do it again. But it just seems like it'd be such a jump. Everything would have to go right for him. And he only played in 82 games for the third time in his career. So you're looking at a guy who has had the injury concerns as well. If he can avoid that and duplicate what he did this year, that would be outstanding. But I think I'm kind of like Hernan. I got him in the 70-point range, which I think is perfect for what he is. I think it was kind of a one-off this past year where things did go right for him. But I hope he builds off it. I hope he still surprises every once in a while with that sneaky wrist shot when the team needs it. He scored a lot of huge goals for this team. I don't know if he has to be the guy that scores 37 goals this season. That'd be great if he could, and great if he could, put up those types of numbers. I don't think he has to. I think if he's around 25 to 30 and 70 points, you're happy about it. But yeah, if he's able to, find his offensive stride in his 30s, that'd be wild. I don't know who else has done that.
Yeah. Well said, Michael. Quickly, because I want to hear their answers.
I mean, there's no way he's likely to hit 100. I don't think ever again. I mean, he blew out his goal scoring last year, 37 goals, and 15 of those on the power play. I mean, I guess the big thing is for me what the power play is. I mean, he had close to 60 points on the power play last year. So is he capable of doing 40 points on his own outside of that with Connor Brown and Kane, being a healthy Kane in the lineup? That's tough. If he, even if he makes 60 points on a power play again. So I think it's unlikely. And Matthew's right. He's not. While he looks like he's 18, he's in his 30s, and it's just not likely. Maybe he'll hover around. I think if I was to, I'd be happy if he was hovering around the 70-point mark, and I think that's a good season, right? I'm not upset if he never hits 100 points. That's not what we expect from Nuge. But were we all happy for him? 100%. Yeah.
Fantastic. All right, we're going to shift a little bit outside of the Oilers, just because I'm really curious myself how this is all going to go. But Connor Bedard was drafted with the first pick overall by the Chicago Blackhawks, and now that he has one of the best known mentors and role models in the entire NHL flanking him in Taylor Hall, Connor Bedard will eclipse 60 points in his rookie season and run away with the Calder Trophy. Mr. Matthew Iwanyk.
60 points. Wow. It's just like it's what type of first overall pick is it? Everyone says that he's like that step below Connor McDavid, but can he do it in the National Hockey League? The second part is, I think, yes, he will run away with the Calder Trophy. I don't think we're going to see what has happened with all the number one overall picks the Oilers have had that have never gotten the sniff of it. I think he gets that. Can he get over 60? The reason I'm going to say no, and maybe this goes against everything I think of Connor McDavid, but Connor proved it at least in the NHL before, proved me wrong in the NHL before. I won't make that mistake again, is I need to see how well this translates in the National Hockey League. I think there have been some talks of, around the World Juniors and things of what part of his game just perfectly translated in the NHL immediately for that success. And you're on a team that isn't exactly that great. So I'm against the idea of him getting over 60 points, but I'm for him getting the Calder Trophy this year.
All right. I like that. And I'd actually probably agree with that wholeheartedly. Connor.
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, I am interested to see how this whole thing works out in Chicago, because kind of a bit of a tire fire there with all that's gone down. And I got to say, I hope there's not much success with that organization for the next, decade or so. But I think I'm along the same lines with Maddie. I think, he's going to have his moments. He's just such a skilled player. He's going to have those highlight reel goals where, he stands out and he shows what he can do. Does he get to 60? It'll be close. I'm going to say yes. I'll say he does eclipse the 60-point mark and does run away with the Calder Trophy this year. I'd have to actually go take a look at some of the other guys who would be in the conversation, but I think he's a special talent. Creative, great finishing ability. He's rose to the occasion at every level. We've got a chance to see him World Juniors. He's been fantastic. So I'll be positive for once and say yes, he does make it to the 60-point mark.
There we go. There's certainly a bar been set by another guy named Connor. So, I think almost no matter what he does, he's going to live in that shadow. And that's a little bit unfortunate for him. And, whether size becomes an issue or whether he's a DeBrincat that everything just translates and he comes up with 40-goal seasons, I guess that story will still be written and we'll all figure it out. Hernan, what do you think?
Yeah, I think you said it there, Dash. It's a little unfair, the comparisons that are going to come this year for him. Yeah, I'm kind of with Maddie. I think he's going to be a good rookie. I think he's going to have, those flashes where he's going to make highlight of the night on SportsCenter, and we're all going to be like, wow, did you see that goal and all that? But if you look at the Hawks roster right now, they're not very good. Not a lot of skill. The D-core is not very good outside of Seth Jones. And then you mentioned Taylor Hall, and Taylor Hall's kind of on the downswing now. He's not that elite top-line guy, even though he's going to be that in Chicago. But, I mean, after that, you got Tyler Johnson, Lucas Reichel. Like, it's not like the sexy names. So I think that team's still going to have some tough times. I still think they're going to, they're going to lose. They're going to go on losing streaks and go through what rebuilds are. But I still think he'll be in that 50-point range. Like you said, the size. The kid's fantastic. He's awesome. I don't think he's at a Crosby, Connor McDavid level. I think he's just below. And then we'll see how the size, the NHL is a whole different game. So we'll see. I think he can handle it, but, the body sometimes can't, and you're going to deal with some injuries and all that. So I'm going to say I can't see him hitting 60. I hope he does, but I just look at that roster and everything, and it just doesn't seem like it's going to be it's going to be another tough season in Chicago.
Yeah. Geoff, what do you think about the 8th generational player of our generation?
Well, you know what? It doesn't make for good radio agreeing with everybody that's talked so far, but I just don't think he's going to get 60 points. Chicago just doesn't have a good enough team around him to really put up the offense that he needs in order to make that number. I think down the road, 60 is going to be easy for him. He'll be a point per game player eventually, but I just don't think it's going to be this season. Taylor Hall, as much as I love Taylor Hall and Taylor Hall stories, there's a reason the guy's in Chicago at this point in his career, right? Like, that's kind of where he belongs at this point. Is he enough to get Connor Bedard into the 60-point range? I don't think so. As for the Calder Trophy, I could see him winning it because his name is Connor Bedard, right? And a lot of people are expecting him to win it. But once again, it's going to be depending on how Chicago's going to do this season. And every time I look at Chicago's roster and I just read through the players on there, I'm like, I don't know half of these guys. Like, they're NHLers. But I don't know them. I don't think I'm going to know them this year. And I think that's going to work against him getting to 60 points. I'm with the guys. I think maybe 50 is a good number for him, a good total. I'd be happy to see him get 50 points. But 60, you know what? You're starting to get probably a little bit too high with what they have going on in Chicago.
Yep, that's fair. And I'm not convinced that Taylor Hall will do his epic mentoring on the ice. And I'm not sure if there's a Cactus Club in Chicago, but I digress. Michael?
I think you're all wrong. I think he'll get 60. I think for sure he'll get 60. Maybe not. Maybe he won't be a point a game player, but I had the chance to watch this guy live when he was here in Halifax. Watched every game he played. He's a good player, much like Connor. I mean, you don't bet against players like that. Like, they find a way to win. And I'd say, my thought on it is this. Part of the reason I think he'll get 60 points is because who else is going to get 60 points in Chicago, right?
Yeah.
Somebody's going to hit.
Somebody's got to score.
There. Somebody's got to score, right? And so it's going to be Bedard this year. Corey Perry's going to be there to maybe help him out a little bit and piss some people off. I think 60 points is a gimme for him. I don't know that he's going to be as prolific as some of the other generational players. I'm yet to decide on that. There were a couple games in the World Juniors I saw that teams played him really well, and I've seen other generational players. You can try to, like the Michael Jordan thing, you can try to do whatever the hell you want against them, but they still find a way. Connor McDavid's like that. Bedard isn't like that, but he's still young. Anyway, all in all, I think at least 60, maybe not a point per game, and I think for sure the Calder.
All righty. Okay, I got two more. I see at the clock we're approaching the hour. I don't know if we set a limit. That probably would have been a respectful thing to do before we started this podcast and ask how long we had you guys
guarantee
for.
I know 4 of them aren't working tomorrow morning. So. Hernan's probably.
Hernan, yeah. Hey, whoa. We'd have you for hours, guys. If you're having fun, we'll have you for as long as you're willing to stay. I got 2 more for sure. I got a whole list actually, but I will try to keep this concise. Let's go quick on the first one because I'm actually more interested in your answer in the second one, and it's related. So, Connor Brown scored 20 goals. He scored 21 goals. He's played with some, talent in other cities with Ottawa, Toronto. He's seen the high-end talent of the Leafs. He's played in the Canadian market. Some say he's Zach Hyman light and plays with that similar type of motor. I hope he does because I was a fan of Yamamoto. I thought that tenacity on the ice was, respected not amongst his teammates as well as or his line mates as well as the rest of his team. So there are, small shoes to fill physically, but I think big shoes to fill in the respect side of it. Whether Connor Brown stays in the top 6, I guess remains to be seen. I truly see him maybe more as a third line player down the road or what have you. Maybe he gets some looks on the top line. Connor Brown will set a career high in goals this season. Connor Halley, tell me I'm wrong.
No, I won't tell you you're wrong on this one. I mean, the whole chemistry going back to juniors thing, that I don't know how much that plays into it. When you're in the NHL, you're obviously going to think the game so well, and
you and
you're
your
there
mind
for
reading.
a reason. So I don't know how much the whole chemistry thing plays into it. But if he gets opportunities in the top 6 to play with a Connor McDavid, who he has experience with, or Leon Draisaitl, he's shown in the past that he can put the puck in the net. He can go to the right places, keep the stick on the ice, get those tap ins, and knows what to do. So I will say you're not wrong, and I think if he stays healthy, because that is a concern. I don't think he's played 82 games in like 3 or 4 years now, but if he stays healthy and plays 75 games, yeah, I'll lock it in. Career high in goals.
All right. Geoff Walker.
This one's a tough one for me, guys. I want to see him do really well. I think the fit is there for Connor Brown. I'm with Connor. I don't know how much junior hockey is really going to play into what's going to happen with the Edmonton Oilers this year. My one concern with him, though, is his health, right? This guy has not played a lot of hockey in the last couple of seasons. So we'll have to see how he handles being back on the ice before we can really make any predictions. Would I like to see him set a career high? Of course I would. I think that would be great. It would be great for the team. But I don't know if I'm ready to say yes on that one yet until I see him play some actual hockey and, see if he still got what he has from a couple seasons ago, because he's missed a lot of time with injuries. So that's going to be a wait to see for me. So I'm going to say you're wrong on this one, and he's not going to set a career high this season.
All right. There's one vote apiece. Maddie, I'm interested in your opinion.
Yeah, it's, with Nuge, I was saying 30-year-old career high, don't bet on that moving forward. So now we're talking about a 29-year-old getting a career high. But I just was looking at the goals. So his career high is only 21 goals in 56 games just a couple seasons ago in Ottawa. And it's going to be contingent on a couple things. One is, can he stay healthy and play 65-plus games? And will he be in that top 6? And, well, naturally, it just looks like who else is going to play in that top 6? You have Hyman, you have Nuge. You have Evander Kane. So he's coming in to play in that top 6 to replace Yamamoto. And so he's going to get a lot of time up there with either Leon or Connor as a centerman. So to get a career high would have to be 22 goals. We're not talking about 30 goals. We're not talking about 35 goals.
That's right.
We're not talking about getting a 40 or anything like that. It's not that crazy that, to me, this isn't a surreal career high that I would say, yeah, it's a 29-year-old dealing with. If again, this will have the asterisk of 65-plus games. Can he stay healthy? But if he can, with who he's playing with and what this team is, yeah, no, I won't tell you wrong. And I would say that I would expect this guy to be around that range of, 20 to 25 goals. And all he needs is that 22 mark to 25 to have a career year. So, yeah, I think he could and have a career year with the Edmonton Oilers when it comes to the goals. Because also to all this, something we've seen in hockey just overall, that contract year, that's a big deal for players. When you're playing in that contract year, they know that their next contract's on the line too. He's on that contract year playing with those guys. So, yeah, I think just based on the career high being only 21, yeah, I could see him doing that.
Contract year is a fantastic point. Hernan?
Yeah, I mean, the health part is the big one. I mean, you're coming off a really tough injury. I mean, I don't know if he's already skating and training. I don't know.
Apparently he's been going pretty hard. Apparently he was a healthy player up until this injury, but that's a bad one. He hasn't played pro hockey in a year.
Yeah, and I mean, I think just from what I've seen on socials and stuff, like the expectations for this guy are through the roof. Like I'm seeing some suggesting he should score 30, 40, and I'm kind of with the guys where it's like, I think we need to just be realistic, and I think 20 to 25 is, I think most Oilers fans would be very happy with that number. I think if he's between 15 and 20 goals, that's expected, because if you just look at the stats, right? You look at his career, and that's where he usually is at. And now he's going to play either with Connor or Dry. Is there going to be chemistry there and all that? So
right.
It's a tough question, but it's a good one, because I think a lot of people here in Edmonton, their expectations are a little too high for Connor Brown. And I think if he's anywhere between 15 and 20, like I think that's realistic. If he exceeds that, like Maddie said, 22 goals is a career high, and he's probably going to get some second power play time. He's going to kill penalties, but again, that number one unit doesn't see a lot of different faces, right? So you're not going to get those looks unless there's a ton of injuries for the Edmonton Oilers. So
Yeah.
I think for me, it's yeah. I'm gonna say no. I'm gonna go with Geoff on this one, but I think he's gonna be very close to his career high, if not probably match it. But again, there's so many questions, and he hasn't played hockey in a while, so it's a good question, but it's a tough one because we just don't know health wise and where he's gonna slot in and all that.
Yeah. Yeah, this was a good one. We've been divisive on it. I do think he'll get there as well. I think he'll be over that mark. But he won't even get a sniff at that power play. I mean, if Evander Kane's not playing on the power play, then Connor Brown certainly isn't. Michael, your thoughts?
Yeah, I don't think he'll hit career high. I mean, I'd be surprised if he does.
We split 3-3. Look at that.
How many 20 goal scorers do you have on the Oilers, right? Like you've got Nuge, you've got, of course, Connor and Dry, Zach Hyman, right? And then Kane. You know, they did what, 325 goals last year?
Yeah.
100 of those are going to be from Connor and Leon. So you got 200 more goals if they reach that mark again. He's not playing any power play time. I think honestly, if we get 16 to 20 from him, then he's done his job. I don't think he needs to get any more. Matthew could be right on the contract year piece. I mean, that's going to be a big deal.
Yeah.
But we thought, we thought a lot. We thought Holloway was going to be playing top 6 minutes after the preseason. I suspect preseason we'll see Connor Brown scored 20 in the preseason. So if we count preseason, then he'll beat the record. We'll all be excited. We're going to think he's the next coming of Yari Curry, only to be pushed down to the third line by about game 6 or 7. So.
Or the next Perlini or the next Ty Ratty.
Yeah. Didn't Hernan have the Ty Ratty award? Best preseason player?
Yeah. I think he's going to do well, but I don't expect 20 goals. 16 to 20, I'd be happy with.
Because he's going to get the first look with Connor McDavid, right?
For sure. Yeah.
You'd have to think so. Yeah, you'd have to think so. All right. Well, one more, and then maybe we'll do a quick round if that's okay with you guys. And it kind of, like I said, bleeds off of the first one that we were just talking about. But I am interested in this because it's not just the Oilers that have put Connor Brown and Connor McDavid back together. We've got Max Domi reunited with Mitch Marner in Toronto. We've got Drouin reunited with McKinnon in Colorado. We all know JP had a sniff with Aho in Colorado last year, although that was, boy, a real small sniff. Chemistry in junior hockey carries over to the NHL and pro hockey. Michael, tell me I'm wrong.
You're wrong. I mean, it just, it's a dream, but it just doesn't, I don't recall who said it before, but the NHL is just a different game, right? Guys have, George Larocque was a point getter in junior. Right? Like, I don't know. Yeah. If we found him the same line mates, would he have been a point getter in the NHL? No, it's just a different game. These guys are bigger, different. They play different. If you put the same guy that played with Bedard with them in the NHL, are they going to, light it up? I don't think so. It's too different of a game for it to really matter. It's nice. It's good to think. It's good when you're playing with friends, probably, but outside of that, I don't think it matters.
Yeah. Bring in DeBrincat for the other wing, right?
Yeah.
Hernan, tell me I'm wrong.
Yeah, I mean, if they're like drafted together and kind of come up, maybe you can have some of that chemistry. But
Sedins,
right? Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
the Sedins, yeah.
With Connor Brown and Connor McDavid, it's been like what 9-10 years. Maybe more. So it's I don't know. I wish there was like more info on this. Like I could go back and think on the spot of teammates from junior that ended up playing together and see what success rate they had. But because I don't know if someone did Domi and Dvorak in Arizona, they were teammates in junior, right?
Mm-hmm.
with the London Knights, were they not?
London, yeah.
Yeah. So I
They
mean,
won, didn't
both
they?
guys were good, but I don't think their chemistry was. When they had Mitch, no, I might be wrong. That was
I don't
Mitch
know if they
Marner.
played on the same years. I mean, they both came
Yeah.
from London for sure. I know that, Sam
Yeah.
Gagne and Schrempf were all right in that range too.
And I know Marner, Kachuk, and I think it was Marner, Kachuk, and Dvorak. Sorry, so I might have got that wrong. But to answer your question, I think it's wrong. I just don't think there's that direct where if the guys had success in junior, it's going to translate to the NHL. Because if it were, then we'd have more proof of it, and we'd be talking about it a lot more. But we just don't see it, right? So
That's probably the best point right there. I'd agree. Matt?
Yeah, I'll go with you're wrong on this one. It was me and Dave Jameson got so upset when the Oilers brought in Dominic Cahoon, and everyone was going, Cahoon's coming with Leon Draisaitl. This guy's gonna be now 70 points. They played together in Germany, and we looked it up come on, really, we're gonna compare these guys together in Germany.
Really good point.
National Hockey League to professional hockey players. So
I forgot about that one.
Yeah, that you brought back a bad memory for me there from 1260, but. No, it was it's players change and their development in the pro game changes and who you're going up against changes and chemistry. This isn't a junior chemistry, but look how good the Draisaitl, Yamamoto, Nugent Hopkins line was that short period before COVID, and they can never recreate that anytime that they eventually got put back together in the years following. That was the best line in all of professional hockey for a stretch of 3 months. And they couldn't find that chemistry once again in the years following. So to go from a different league, a lower league, where Michael was saying, it's not professional hockey players. You're going up against a lot. Georges Laraque was, a star player in the juniors. All these guys are stars in the juniors. They're not in the National Hockey League. It just, to me, it doesn't translate. Are there going to be some situations where it'll happen? Yeah, of course. They're going to be outliers. I wouldn't even say the Sedin twins because I think that just goes into just twin magic even. So, I'm sure that there's going to be some junior players that you could probably find that chemistry could go in through the National Hockey League. But that's probably also they've probably stayed together a lot more from the start of their career moving on. I don't think you could just naturally go grab a player who played with another player 10 years ago and put them together. They played great in the juniors. That's the selling point I think the team has to try to sell to their fans. Look, we got this steal of a player here.
Good point.
But I don't think I don't think it happens. No, I don't buy into that. So I would go with you're wrong on that.
Matthew, to that point, do you think it was a good deal though? Was it a steal of a deal with or without the chemistry?
Dominic Cahoon?
No, not Cahoon. Connor Brown.
Okay, because I just want making sure that the Connor. Yes, I know. I do think it's a good deal, and I do think he's a better player overall. Sorry, I don't know why I went thinking Tom Cahoon is what we're discussing. I'm still
rumor here.
No, I think it's a great deal, and the thing I will say about these type of deals that do work out is they're low risk issues, especially the Connor Brown one. Whereas if it doesn't work, okay, you tried it, you move on to next year, and you try something different. So I think it's well worth a risk on this one. This is a guy who can play in the National Hockey League at the very least, and we've seen that. This isn't the guy that's, I think, struggling to get an NHL contract. So, no, I do like the deal for the Oilers. I just don't believe that naturally he's also to Hernan saying earlier, people expecting him 30, 40 points. I'm not going to sit here saying he's going to get 40 points just because this guy, look at the chemistry he had with Connor back in juniors.
Yeah. I doubt Low Tide's listening. I really hope he is. But if he was, he'd be screaming at the screen right now going, why didn't Pittsburgh trade for Marc-Antoine Pouliot? Am I right?
Oh, yeah.
His favorite Oiler of all time.
Why didn't the Oilers trade for Crosby?
Yeah.
Low Tide, who was your favorite Oilers draft pick of all time, and why was it Marc-Antoine Pouliot? That was the question Matthew Iwanyk asked him at his own book signing, by the way. All right, Geoff Walker, tell me I'm wrong.
I got to tell you, you're wrong here on this one. I don't think chemistry from junior days has anything to do with the NHL. And just a couple players you listed, Drew Ann going to Colorado and Domi going to Toronto. These guys have been in the league for long enough that I think we know what kind of players these guys are. And just because you put them with people that they played with in the past doesn't make them better hockey players, right? They are what they are. We've watched them play. They've had I say a decent career in the NHL so far, while Drouin's been kind of on the outside looking in for a long time. But just because you put them with people they played with in the past doesn't make them better hockey players. And those players are what we see of them on the ice. Like, will Domi be okay in Toronto? I think he'll be okay in Toronto. Will Drouin be in Colorado? That's going to be a tougher one. But who they're playing with isn't going to make the difference, right? Either they're going to be good hockey players or they're not going to be good hockey players. Nathan McKinnon in Colorado, he's been doing just fine without Drouin all this time. So you put them together, is he going to be a better hockey player? I don't think so, right? So for me, you know what? It's I'm going to tell you you're wrong on that one, because I just don't think it matters what you did in the past. It's going to be what you're doing as an NHLer today. And I just don't think these guys have that star power that they need to make it a big difference on their new teams.
Yeah, good players know how to play with good players and know how to play off of good players, and you're either good enough to be a top line player or you're not. I agree, Geoff, for sure. Connor?
Yeah, I'll keep it quick. Just agree with everything that everyone else has said already. I mean, Connor Brown was brought here because he's a good player, not because he was a teammate of Connor McDavid. Sure, that probably sweetened it a little bit, but he's a good NHL player when healthy, so that's why he's a part of this team, because he can help them win the ultimate prize. But I will say, I mean, if this guy goes out and scores 30 goals and we're seeing McDavid to Brown for, no-look passes, beautiful goals, I'm going to be the number one fan saying, bring in Nick Merkley, old Kelowna Rockets teammate of Leon Draisaitl. Bring him back from the KHL. We got to keep this going, keep this junior connection going. That's the key to victory. I don't foresee that happening, but yeah, good players are, going to end up playing with good players. I don't put too much stock into where they played when they were 17.
You heard it here first, everybody. We've got Draisaitl playing between Cahoon and Merkley next year.
He was the missing piece
on this one, Dash. I'm curious, you guys, and we go around on this one. But does McDavid have a say in a signing like this? Like, does Holland call him up and ask him, "Is Connor Brown a guy you want on the team?" And maybe start with Geoff.
Oh, 100%. Connor McDavid has, how could you not, right? You want this guy to be an Edmonton Oilers for his career. You can't just have this guy fly blind on the team. He's got to have a say on what's going on. Now, with that said, the general manager is going to make the decision that he thinks is the best decision for the hockey team. And let's be real, the best decision for the hockey team is to listen to Connor McDavid and what Connor McDavid wants, right? Because if you're going to make him mad, then what are you doing? Right? What are you doing? So in this case, you know what? Connor's going to say, you know what? Like, I played with this guy in the past. He was a good hockey player. He's a good guy. So I'm okay with this signing. And I think that's the way it goes down. And whoever's in charge of the Edmonton Oilers, your number one duty is to make sure Connor McDavid is happy as a hockey player in Edmonton, so you can keep him for the long haul.
Well said.
Yeah.
Was that call made for Brandon Manning, you guys think, or is that just I'm going nomad?
I mean, that's a good point, right? I mean, maybe it's too early in the career, but different GM altogether, too.
I like that.
Can
I squeeze one more question?
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
Just on that, there's a fine line to this, because and it's something that we obviously don't know, but because like we know the power NBA players have. There aren't a lot of players in the National Hockey League that have that power. Connor McDavid would be the one. Like, he could change the Oilers logo if he wanted to, probably, if he went Daryl Katz saying change the logo. Like, he has that, he's that important that to Geoff, you want to keep him happy. But when you're Ken Holland or you're the team, there is that balancing act to this. He could sit there and say, I want Connor Brown, get him at all costs. But at the same time, you have to understand, if you're Ken Holland, you got to do what you also think is best, because your job's on the line based off these moves. And if they don't work, you can't go out there and while Connor wanted it, you're going to lose your job. So, Connor, I think, is kind of a perfect mix of, he's not that NBA player. And I think he understands he's not the GM. I think he understands that there is a vision and someone else in charge. Yeah. He's going to have his input. And we've seen it. Like, he was consulted about Evander Kane. He was consulted about Duncan Keith. I would envision he's consulted about Connor Brown. But I also think if the Oilers didn't sign Connor Brown, I don't think he'd be upset. And I think that's the type of person Connor McDavid is. But that's the fine line that if you're Ken Holland, you have to manage is, when do you ultimately have to go do what Connor needs and says he wants? And when do you listen to him or just get his opinion, but then make a different call? Because sometimes you're going to have to go do that. And I don't envy Connor Halley for that one, because, you don't want to make that one decision that ultimately pisses off Connor McDavid enough. But you also have to, you have a job to do, and he has his own job to do, and his job isn't the GM of the team.
Can he convince his buddy Austin Matthews to come on a 1-year deal for close to league minimum until the cap goes up and he goes back to Arizona? All right. I want to ask one more, just because, and I'm sorry, but I just want to, the goaltending has been something that, has been talked about very, very detailed. And I just, I was going to do it as a tell me I'm wrong, but ultimately it's just a question. Taking Vasilevsky out of this, the Knights just won with 5 goalies. Kemper is maybe considered an average to above average goalie. Binnington, Niemi, Corey Crawford, Tim Thomas, Chris Osgood. Maddie, can you win a cup with an average goalie?
In certain years, yes, you can. There are those years where the average goaltending is going to go, but you don't know which years those average goaltendings are going to be, because some of those goaltendings you've mentioned, they weren't average goaltenders the years that they were playing. Like Jordan Binnington's year that year was unreal. It was out of this world. Laurent Brossoit wasn't a great goalie, but Adin Hill comes in. He played unreal for the Golden Knights this year. So there are those years where, you could have the Corey Crawford where you're not playing. Your goalie is maybe just average, slightly above, and you could go win. But there's also those years where Andrei Vasilevsky's the goaltender who's winning the cup because he's just that great of a goalie. So I think at the very least, and because this is Oilers, let's focus on the Oilers for that. I think with this team, you need better than average goaltending. I don't think you could bank on average goaltending, but I also don't think that this is a team that needs an Andrei Vasilevsky to go win a cup. I don't think you need to bank on that. You need a goalie that could go out there and give you a 920 and a 925 save percentage throughout the playoffs. I don't care about the regular season at that point. Throughout the playoffs, if you can get that and maybe more closer to the 925, you're going to go win the Stanley Cup. And it's, could Stuart Skinner be that guy? Could Jack Campbell be that guy? I still think that they could. Again, I don't think you need that 930 with this team or the 935 with this team. But, could they win with average? Absolutely. Again, like I said, you could. But I wouldn't bet on that, because those years come far and few between, I would say, and you're focused more on those years where you're going to have to go up against the team with Andrei Vasilevsky. Can you beat them? Well, to do that, you're going to need a guy that's giving you about a 920, 925 save percentage. So I'll go with slightly above average.
Okay, that makes sense. Somebody from our network, Josh Bolton, had said, once you're good enough to be an NHL goalie, you're in the top 100 goalies in the year or in the world. And if you're within the top 100 goalies in the world, you're capable of going on a heater in the playoffs. Doesn't matter whether your name's Adin Hill, Jack Campbell, you name it. So
you need a good heater of 25 games.
Right.
And you can go
right,
in, like
at the right
Dwayne
time.
Dwayne Rolison was brilliant in 06.
That's right.
But we don't look at his career and go, it was Andrei Vasilevsky or anything like that.
That's right.
But in that run, he was just brilliant.
And I agree with Maddie, and I think if you're going to win with average goaltending, you can't be average anywhere else.
Bingo.
If you look at the Vegas Golden Knights, sure, you can call it average goaltending. I mean, I can't remember the guy's name right now.
Adin Hill. Logan
Hill.
Thompson.
He had some really good games, but all in all, I don't think he was spectacular. He had 2 really good games. But what I'm going to say is Vegas defense was good, really good, tough. Their forward group was, one of the best. If you compare it to the Oilers, they were right up there. So I mean, I think that's why Vegas was able to get away with playing Brossoit, playing Adin Hill, because they were strong everywhere else. So I don't think a team in general can have average goaltending and an average forward group, for example, or average goaltending and an average decor, because then you're fighting 2 things, right? You're like, well, I don't know what I'm going to get from decor or the goaltending. But if it's just goaltending and your defense and forward group are really good, I think you have a shot.
Yeah, and a goalie has to trust the D has to trust the goalie. you kind of mentioned it as well as Matty did when he said Binnington. Ultimately, you look at those guys' careers, they're still an average to above average, but you said it in the moment, Matty, Binnington was unbelievable from January on. I look a lot at the system that's in front of those guys, right? When you look at the Tim Thomas and look who he had in front of him with, Chara and that system with Bergeron and that commitment to defense, even the same thing with Crawford and Niemi having Hall of Fame Seabrook and Keith in front of them. I do think that, their ability to play a team game obviously has a lot to do with it. Geoff, what do you think?
Honestly, I'm going to say that I don't think you can really win with average goaltending. I'm kind of with Hernan with this one. You have to have something to offset that, right? The Edmonton Oilers, they can outscore a lot of their problems, including goaltending. Like, I don't want to get into a big Stuart Skinner needed to be better in the playoffs thing, but if you would have got average goaltending out of Stuart Skinner in the playoffs, I think the Edmonton Oilers would have made it a lot further. Yeah. But that's only because they're built that way, right? They're built to be an offensive juggernaut, so they can outscore that deficiency, if you will. But the majority of NHL teams, like let's say 95% of the NHL teams that are out there, if you have average goaltending and you don't have that offense that the Oilers have, you're not going to get very far in the playoffs. You look at Vegas, they had great defense. They could score. So once again, they were another team that they were able to overcome the average goaltending, not win because they had average goaltending, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense. I think Aiden Hill probably stole Vegas a few games, and I think Skinner's performance went with the team. The team played well. He played well. The team played poor. He played poor. Yeah, well said for sure. Connor?
Yeah, I mean, I really like what Hernan said there. And, I think you could win with average above average goaltending if your offense is loaded and your defense, doesn't give up grade A opportunities. Wasn't the case for the Oilers. And I mean, we're kind of talking about this, and I'll just kind of elaborate into the Oilers and, the needs we talk about. Will all these players duplicate their offensive seasons and set career highs offensively? Well, they scored 325 goals last year. The next closest was Boston at 305. Boston got knocked out in the first round. We know what happened with the Edmonton Oilers. Yeah. I mean, when you look at this team, maybe the focus has to be on the defensive side. Can they play better as a 5-man unit, a 4-man unit at even strength? Mm-hmm. And I'm going off of my own tyrant here, and this is kind of just my thoughts on it all. But I think that, goaltending has to be better. You need at least a 900 save percentage. Stuart Skinner wasn't that last season in the playoffs. A couple tough second periods for him, especially against the Vegas Golden Knights. So I think it's making it pretty tough if you're setting the bar at average goaltending to win in the playoffs. I mean, it's going to be tough to do unless you have an elite defensive unit and you can continue to score goals. We know scoring slows down a little bit in the playoffs. So I think it makes it tough.
Yeah, well said. Okay, Michael, and then I'll give you the reins back and take your show, buddy.
Yeah, to this, I think subpar D has ruined a lot of goaltenders' careers. So, it's just that way. I mean, look at Devin Dubnyk. Spent some time in Edmonton. Goes to Minnesota.
Drew and Delorier.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think we've ever known what kind of goaltenders we've had in Edmonton in a long time. We just haven't had elite D. Is Campbell great? I don't know. Maybe he could be, right? If we had a good, Vasilevsky had Hedman. Detroit Red Wings had Lidstrom for how many years, and they always seem to have great goaltending, right? Like, go figure. When you got a Haas in the back end like that. It's just, it's kind of that way with the Oilers. I hope with Ekholm that the defense is better. I mean, you just check the chat tonight, and that seems to be the default to what everybody thinks about the Oilers is defense needs to be better. And, I don't remember the last time. I'd have to go back and look that we've had a really solid defensive core. It's been a while. And that's just not how this team's constructed. So, we need better defense. It'll make the goaltending better. We've had bad goaltenders. We can agree on that. We've had some that, but I think, the other thing to that is confidence. Like you go into a season looking great and feeling great, and then you you're not getting any help from your decor, or you're just not getting any chemistry between them. Like these guys rely a lot on the chemistry between themselves and the guys that are in front of them a lot, the communication that happens and whether they can work together. It's just, yeah, I think Skinner's a great goalie. Like he was right up there for Calder nominations, right? And so, can he be the guy this year, or will Campbell rebound? I don't know. I think it all depends on our defense, and that's about it. These guys are capable of taking us the distance if the defense is capable of providing them what they need. And I guess that's it. I guess I'm up now. Yeah. So nobody gets to respond to that, thankfully. Tell me I'm an asshole, or they'll tell me I'm an asshole on Twitter.
It'll be in the comments.
Yeah. At some point, somebody will call me an asshole on Twitter. Thanks guys for joining us tonight. Thanks for we went normally I like to keep the show to an hour and a half, but we also normally don't have 4 additional guests on the
keep it to an hour, you mean?
Sorry, keep it to an hour. It was great having you guys on. A couple of you I've met for the first time tonight. Really loved hearing what you had to say about the Oilers. I wish everybody the best. I know all of you, just from if I hadn't heard you before, from what people have told me, have real promising careers ahead of you. And maybe this is just a nice break and a nice summer for you to, take some time off and enjoy life and realize, what to negotiate on your next contract, right? 2 or 3 weeks in the summer off or whatever it is.
Don't take the bridge.
Yeah, it was, and also, we, of course, having you guys on, we had a couple extra listeners tonight, and I assume some extra downloads when it goes on the recorded for the podcast. So thank you for that. And to that, I'll say, if you're new to the show, please give us a subscribe on YouTube, or follow us on Twitter. I'm at Oilerslive. Dash is at Dash in the Park, and Heavy Hockey Network is at heavyhockey.com. And something that I'm passionate about is our charity hockey game that we host every year. It was sad as well on that behalf for the TSN 1260 to be gone away, because we always got great support when that hockey game came around. And I know you guys, like, people listen to you guys, and they told me, I heard about it on TSN 1260. And this year we're doing the event February 24th, which is in line with the Battle of Alberta in Edmonton. We have chosen and will continue to go forward with the Sexual Assault Center of Edmonton. They need the help. They're moving into a new building. The problem of sexual assault just doesn't go away. They provide a number of great services to the community. Just absolutely an amazing organization that needs funds. We raised close to $27,000 last year with the help of some of the guys that you guys were working with, and making sure that word got out. So if you're new and listening now, please put that in your calendars, February 24th. We'll have more details as we go. We are looking for a title sponsor this year, just to go bigger and better. Right. And, if we can raise that 27,000 to, 100,000 or $500,000, it's going to do great work in the community. And so I'm just happy to have guests like yourself that maybe raise that profile a little bit. It's at the foundation of what we do in heavy hockey. When people join to be, a fan and do fan podcasting and fan blogging as part of heavy hockey, it's a part of what I ask them, is this part of your DNA to give back to the community? And if it is, then, they're welcome on board. And so this charity hockey game is a big deal. So that's all I'm going to say. I'm going to pass it off to Dash for his last words. And thank you guys again for being here tonight. I'm on mute for the rest. And Geoff, when you get the last word, you know what to do.
Thanks again, Michael. Yeah, appreciate those words. And yeah, we were always very fortunate. There's at least a few guys on this podcast right now that have helped and retweeted tweets and helped promote that. Low Tide and Bruce McCurdy and Dave Jameson were all fantastic in helping support. Look, we're running out of time, so I'm not going to use my voice much more. I just really want to say that there's a piece of my soul missing. You know, we need this back. You know, we need this content back. I miss the whistle contests with Connor and Struddy. I miss Will Fraser's one grilled cheese sandwich and headlight warnings. I miss Eric getting dunked on by Dusty and Maddie, you know, getting to be the commissioner for all the drafts and put up with all the shenanigans. I miss the vitamin waters on the patio that Tommy likes to talk about. And, you know, I miss the PK can go to hell. I miss Dave Jameson striking like a mongoose. And I don't know, maybe you guys can finish us off with some of your, you know, one of your best memories or a great story, or just say goodnight if you want to. That's fine. We're going to leave Geoff the Experience Walker until the end, because Jesus, why wouldn't we finish with him? So, hey, Connor, man, thanks for being on the show. Thanks for helping coordinate this in the background as well, and really appreciate our history together.
Yeah. I mean, I was at 1260 for 15 years. I can tell you, I still remember when Matt Iwanyk joined up. He was a kid from Nate. His friend, I believe, coworker Jen Seal brought him aboard. He said yes to every shift, and he would do the Sunday morning religion hour. Never complained about it. So, you know, seeing what he was able to do in the industry, no surprise. I could say the same thing about a lot of people. Mark Majot was someone who, you know, was it the same way. Whatever you need, I can do it. Was fantastic for us. Tyler Yaremchuk, seeing all the success that he's had, not a surprise, because he was a guy who would do whatever it took. Hernan, the same way, came in, all business, would always take a shift, right? You know, we had a lot of people come through those doors and not everybody wanted to work, but Geoff was the same way. Whatever you need. Whenever I was on vacation, he would step in on the Gregor show and knock it out of the park. So, you know, the success that we had was built on the people like that were just willing to do whatever it took for the station. If I think of memories, we kind of touched on it before we got on here. Dusty in the dunk contest is one that everyone's always going to remember. I'll say one for me was getting greeted by Will Fraser every day at 10 o'clock when I'd come in there and kick him out of the studio. I don't know if I can say the words and what he would call me when I walked into the studio, because I don't think he liked to see me, because I kind of rushed him out there. But just the people in that building, like the people with the Bear and Virgin Radio, the co-workers we had were absolutely fantastic. They still do great work. And yeah, it was a privilege to work with everyone I worked with, and certainly looking forward to see what's next for Maddie and Geoff, Dusty, Eric, Tommy, Gregor, Struddy, JMO, Low Tide. I know everyone's going to do awesome things, so the content's going to be there. It's just a matter of where it's all going to be. And then, you know, Hernan Salas, I don't know, maybe he'll make the jump back to media.
Ooh, hey, I don't know. Well, they're going to win their next game, and we won't have to worry about them cleaning house, and Hernan will be just fine where he is for a long time, I hope. Anyways, Hernan, thanks for joining. You've been on the show a couple times now, and really appreciate that as well. Good luck to the Elks. God knows they need it, and we're all rooting for you. We're all rooting for that team. It'll come around. Michael talks about his ex-college roommate that, you know, has some influence over there, and I think it's all going in the right direction eventually. So thanks for being on. And
no, thank you guys. It's always great to join. I haven't done a podcast or anything like this in a long time, and like you said, I love working with the Elks, and you know, we saw some dark times with the Oilers in this city for many, many years, and they got through it. And I believe the same. We have great people in the organization. There's a lot of hard work going into it, and it'll turn around. And we're confident in that. And like I said, we're in Winnipeg Thursday, and I know you guys will all be cheering us on. So there's a reason why you play the game, right? So we're gonna go there with a lot of positivity and confidence. And just to touch on the 1260 boys, like when I got offered the Elks job, it was the hardest decision I had to make career-wise. I talked to JMO, who was kind of the guy I leaned on, who's done both jobs, and
Big time.
I ended up taking the Elks job, and I remember telling Maddie and the guys, and there was a lot of emotion, and you know, we had a nice go-away party, and I remained friends with all the guys, and it's great. It's beautiful because it's not often you go to a job and you come out with 8 friends for life, right? No matter where we end up or where we're going to be as we get older here and move on, I think we'll always be friends. And I think that's what I take from 1260 is, and I'm with you, Dash, like in working with the Elks, you come in the morning, you put on Dusty, and then you listen to the JMO, Maddie, and Low Tide, and then Gregor and Connor and Struddy. And now it's just like, what do I listen to? I'm not a big music guy, so it's really tough. So I'm really excited to see what's next for the boys, for all the guys here. I know they got a lot of things in the works, so I'm excited for them. And like I said, I'll always be there for them. We'll always be friends. And my time at 1260, man, I'll cherish it for the rest of my life because it's what I always wanted to do. And it was a great ride. To be able to cover the teams you grew up cheering for, it's nothing like it, man. Nothing like it.
Yeah.
To be able to spew your your hot takes on air every day is just great. So I love the guys. Thank you guys for having me on. And like I said, go Elks.
Speaking of hot takes, Hernan, you were one of the best there. The man of the people, I must add.
Yeah.
The man of the people right there. All right. Maddie's probably going to disagree with me that I said the Elks are going to win next game. I know the Blue Bombers in 2 out of the next 3 are going to be a little bit of a tough goal, but hey, Hernan said it. This is why we play the game. So yeah, Maddie, thanks, man. You know, I've been inviting you for a golf game on the air and texting in for a while. So that offer's still out there for real. Hopefully we can get out this summer still. Hopefully you get a lot of rounds in this summer. Thanks again for coming on, and any final thoughts or stories from your time?
Yeah, no, well, first I'd like to you and Michael, thanks for having us on, and keep doing this. Keep doing some great work with this show. And as for the Elks, they'll start winning games when Hernan Salas gets the play calling sheet for the offense. Give him the sheet. Let McAdoo run it all week. Just give Hernan the sheet like Ask Matt, and just do Ask Hernan and run the play.
I don't know about that, but
that's what they need.
It's like Kid Wonder on Ted Lasso.
Exactly. Just ask Hernan on those plays and get it done. You know, I agree with everything like Connor and Hernan said there. To what Connor said about us in terms of doing everything, availability, that is also exactly what you say about Connor.
I thought the same.
He was a guy that it was just, he would do everything. He's just so calm when anything was going wrong. He knew it'd be fine, and he's Mr. Reliable. And you know, one of the reasons why he was training Hernan was because he's the guy you want doing that, because he's just the perfect guy to teach everyone, because he knew everything. Like I knew a lot about technology and the boards and all that in that building. The only person that's in like the same level as me or whatever was Connor. So he was brilliant at that. But it really was TSN, like, and the Bear and everyone. There's been a lot of people, but everyone that's come through Virgin Radio, it was really a family that we had over there. And there's just a lot of people you connect with. And like, you know, in the radio world, at least in Edmonton, I was always willing to put up our building against anyone else's, because what happened between, you know, in the halls, and we had so much fun. And, you know, anyone that works any job, any type of corporate job, you know that there's always those struggles.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing that kept us going every single day was the people that we worked with. But then the flip side to all this, and the one thing that's been great to see, but also sad to see, in that, you know, I said earlier, joked how it's like I could enjoy retirement and I'm enjoying life right now. But the amount of people that are actually hurt by the loss of 1260 that aren't us, it's the listeners. And just coming across over the last month of us being off the air, of the amount of people who their day-to-day life is having to change. I've had shows go off the air. I've had things leave, and I know how difficult that is. So for everyone that's out there that has listened to our station or had that set in the day, whether it was an hour, whether it was all 12 hours or whatever it was, to lose that, I know that hurts and that stinks, and your life has to change. So to all those people, our thoughts go out to them, and we're sorry for you guys that the station isn't there anymore, and hopefully that void can be filled soon for you guys. But our listeners were very special. So to a degree, sorry that, you know, we couldn't have the station still going for all of you people, because it seemed like it impacted a lot of people beyond us. And again, like I said, hopefully, you know, we can get things going. And then just a lighter note of things that I'm very happy about. Ultimately, off the air, I'm the 2-time Tecmo champ winner, including the greatest season ever in Tecmo history.
Man.
And with that said,
Yeah,
I
baby.
still have the championship trophy right here. Right here. The championship. Took down Hernan, took down Yukon Jack, took down Dustin Nielsen. Let's go, baby. Let's go.
I love it. I love it. The trophy will stay there forever. You know,
It's mine now. Once the station went down, I stayed champ.
there's a TSN sticker on that, so nobody else
Can
is
I-
winning that post the fact.
He also ruined the league though when I was still there.
No.
Yeah, you
Yaremchuk
did.
ruined the league.
No, you
Yaremchuk left. You took his job, and then you left, and the league died.
Maybe
So-
Hernan, you got Maddie
Champ.
and Tyler
Champ.
confused like a lot of people do.
Yeah.
Can I just jump in before Jeff here?
Yeah, please.
Just because Matt brought up a great point. I got to say big thank you to the listeners. Like, one of the coolest things for me, the month of giving with Gregor, we raised so
Yeah.
much money, and the generosity of people in this community, not just the city, but surrounding areas. A lot of people, you know, helped us with the prizes as well as raising up the bids, and tons of money went to a lot of great charities through the holiday season. So to those people, and then also just the people who texted in, right? Like, they provided so much content for our show. So everyone who tuned in every once in a while, to the diehards, thank you guys. And there's a void in the city, like Matt said, and hopefully gets filled soon.
And just before Jeff wraps up, just funny story, like with the Elks, we do fan days or fans come out to practice. And I always tell the guys this, that there's always fans. They're like, Hernan. I'm like, yeah. And they're like, hey, I'm an AM Nasty. And I'm like, all right, go ahead. Like, they just, like, they're all over the place. And it's great because they share that with me, right? And then I tell Dusty, and he's like, they're everywhere. So it's always great to still have that connection to the station, right? Like, people still like, Hernan, can you tell Tommy this, or Maddie or Dusty this? And it's just great. It's wonderful that how much love there is for the people that worked at that station.
Yeah, I mean, and we felt that as the listener, you know, when we help provide the content and text in some of the ideas, and then they, you know, are born into segments and what have you. Like, I don't know who on this podcast knows this, but I was the creator of Gregor's Bane. I made that stick that was in your studio for I made the Smithsonian shield for Dusty there too, that was taking up space. We all felt like we were a part of the show, right? I mean, I still come out of my Monday morning sales meeting that goes from 8 till 8:30, and I want to go and get my sexy on with Rashad. Like, it's just programmed in me that I'm sad I don't hear Timberlake anymore, you know? So well said by all of you guys. I can't think of a better way to finish this off than a little story time with Geoff the Experience Walker. You've come up with some of the most epic stories told on this station or on that station over the last year and a half. So you know the one rule that Michael has: say goodnight at the end. And guys, just a fucking pleasure.
Thank you, guys.
Well, thanks a lot, guys. I want to echo what these guys have been saying. It was a pleasure for me to work for TSN 1260. I'm an FMer. I was an FMer for a long time before I went to AM radio to work with these guys. And Maddie hired me. I still don't know how that happened. I don't know why he made that happen, but Maddie, thanks for that. Connor gave me the privilege of working with Jason Gregor. Thank you very much for that. And Hernan is the guy that showed me the ropes. He's the guy that taught me everything that I needed to know at TSN 1260, and I will appreciate everybody I worked with there for a very long time. As for the listeners, you know what? You made it fun coming to work every single day, and I can't stress how much I appreciate that. And me sharing the weird stories that I've had in my life, you know, if that is what you guys want, you know what? I have no problem doing that. I'm not a shy guy whatsoever. So now, instead of like a true story here, though, it is Tuesday, and this would normally be confession day on the Nielsen show with Dustin Nielsen and Lieutenant Eric. So I've got a confession that I was going to share with the boys, but I never got a chance to do that because, of course, they pulled the plug before that happened. So first, we have to go back to Easter. If we all remember Easter, you know, I'm not going to get into what Easter is all about because you know how that gets. But what I am going to say is that the day after Easter, The stores like to put all that delicious chocolate on sale for 50% off. Now, I'm not a guy that is able to eat the chocolate. I'm not supposed to. The doctor says no, chocolate is bad. But there is no way I was passing up that 50% off chocolate sale. It's not going to happen. So as it stands right now in Geoff Walker's freezer, there's not much in there. I've got about 6 bags of those big bags of chocolate mini eggs. I don't eat them. But you bet 3 or 4 times a day I go to the freezer, I look in the freezer, I look at them, I know they're there, I kind of give them a little pet, a little stroke. I know they're there and they're going to be there for a long time. Now, Dusty and Eric have missed out, though, because I was actually going to bring them in for the boys when I gave the confession. But now I can't do that. So they're going to be in there either forever or else they're going to kill me. One or the two things are going to happen. But thank you very much, guys. This has been a pleasure. Good night.
Oilerslive.